We continue on to unpack the Rugby World Cup final that takes place this evening at 9 p.m. South African time. For now, we're going to be joined in studio by SABC senior sports reporter Thando Mxoli. Good afternoon, Thando. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon to you, Lizzle.
We were chatting off camera, and it's hard to breathe at this point. I know that the sporting weekend has been crazy from the Proteas last night. We're holding our breath ahead of tonight's final. We're looking at the possibilities and probabilities, though. I wonder at this point how confident you are about the Springboks. How tired are they? Help us understand the contributing factors heading up to tonight. There's
a lot of contributing factors. Tiredness, because we've had the most difficult road to the final out of all the top teams. New Zealand have had an easier road, but still, the one thing that we can't take away from New Zealand, they've improved as a team. Going into this World Cup, I don't think many people would have said New Zealand would make it to the finals. We went in as one of the top favourites of the tournament. As defending champions, we had good form going into the tournament. But also, there's an emotional factor here because both teams are losing their head coaches at the end of the tournament. So there's just a lot of things coming together. Basically, the perfect recipe for a great match. Everyone is interested because these are two quality sides who've won this tournament, not once, not twice, 3 times.
Yes.
So history can be made. Whoever wins tonight gets number 4, which no one has ever gotten. New Zealand have been to 5 finals, they've won only 3. But in that sense, all the history incentives, Siya Kolisi could be the first South African captain to defend a World Cup trophy. He could be the first South African captain with 2 World Cup trophies.
Yes.
So it's things like that are inspiring a nation and have basically galvanized an entire nation, and not just South Africa. Funny enough, I was in France last week. The French have basically adopted us as their little stepchild team. Despite us knocking the whole tournament horse out, we basically became a favorite because we are the perfect story that's been told at this World Cup. If you look at the color pieces, Mama Joy and Upota, every time there's anything happening with the crowd, they are the go-to color piece shots.
Yes.
It's stuff like that. South Africa, I suppose, for a while, for the last 30 years, we've always managed to find those perfect stories in difficult times like this.
Well, you speak about history being made for both sides, in fact, leading up to this final tonight. But I wonder if you could also say South Africa's game. You spoke about how tough it's been, the road to this final for South Africa versus New Zealand. You spoke about the psychological impact as well. South Africa did beat New Zealand in that pre-World Cup match.
Yeah.
Are there any scars and doubts on that front that might impact New Zealand, giving us that edge?
There are many scars, but it's a different match, purely because of the magnitude of this match, and also there are a lot of players that played in that match that are not here now. Malcolm Marx, Maneli Bok, Kenan Moody. There's just there are too many changes. But if you look at how things have progressed in this tournament, we are battle-hardened. We've managed to win against very impressive teams. We've got the discipline in difficult times, and we also have the hunger to chase a game.
Absolutely.
That is impressive for me. And New Zealand, if you look at their forward pack, which was seen as a weakness a year ago, have improved drastically to have one of the most formidable forward packs in world rugby. A guy like Sam Whitelock, who's got 2 World Cup trophies already in his bag, going for a 3rd one. He's on the bench for this one. Most capped player ever. It's when you sit and you look at all the intricacies between these two teams, it's very hard to sit and say there's the clear favorite. There simply isn't one, because both teams have got plenty of quality and proven quality at that.
Well, speaking of quality and improvements, we can't ignore the inclement weather and the factor that played in South Africa's last game. How confident are you about our sticky fingers, or lack thereof, this time around?
For me, it's not even about the sticky fingers. Again, seeing the semi-final, a lot of people are complaining about the rain. What worried me the most was our kicking game. It was very poor. Because if you kick high balls that start at France, there's a swirling wind like you'd get at Newlands, where if you kick it up, it either goes backwards, or as it drops, it's moving right to left. So it's very difficult to judge when you're standing underneath it. As you saw, Cheslin Colby in that match was tapping balls back. He wasn't even competing for them because it's difficult to judge the trajectory of the ball coming down. That is a factor that we need to get our kicking game both out of hand and for poles. We need to have that on point to get the scoreboard pressure and to also play the game in the right areas. A good kick can gain you 10 to 20 meters. A bad kick can put you under pressure and you can concede those 10 to 20 meters.
I wonder at this point, the bomb squad, what factor does that play, given the fatigue that you've cited, the tiredness as well, even the strategy employed during this game?
We've freshened it up. We have 2 locks, which is a strength. It basically talks about how we're going to play. We have to basically use our line out, which is very deep. We've got a Jean Klein and an RWC who are very good jumpers in the line out, replacing an Etzebeth and a Mostert who are world class. Again, for me, the one thing that excites me is Oxenche and Trevor Nyakane coming on. The impact those 2 can have it's a lot. It can change a game. The penalty we got against England was from a scrum.
100%.
And that is because of the pressure and the impact Oxenche had. Second game in a row, he came in and he proved his quality as a scrummer, which is the primary job of a prop. So I'm excited by that. Kwagga Smith has been amazing. My big worry though with the 7-1 split that we've taken, if for example a Handra Pollard or a Faf gets injured, we in trouble because we don't have the gap in quality between a Faf and let's say Cheslin who comes on a scrum off. Cheslin is a good rugby player, but when you compare him to Faf as a scrum off, the gap in quality is just too big. That is a worry for me. So
let's continue our analysis. In fact, I'd like you to stay put. Let's go back to Mduduzi Ndlovu, in fact, our reporter who is at 86 Republic in Randburg, Johannesburg. Just speaking to fans expected to gather and watch the game this evening. Mdu, we were speaking to you a little bit earlier on and we lost that connection there. You were speaking to some avid fans. They were giving their score predictions and you were really just giving us that pre-match build-up as we edge closer. What's happening on your end as this connection's been re-established?
Good afternoon once again. Apologies for the technical glitches earlier on. We are still here in Randburg at 86 Public, where revelers are expected to come in droves to watch the final match of the 2023 Rugby World Cup that is in France, where the Springboks, our South African side, will be taking on the All Blacks of New Zealand. It's a battle of the Southern Hemisphere. We will remember the Springboks won against England last weekend, whereas the All Blacks won against Argentina in their semi-final match. We are here and then the revelers, places are being prepared for the revelers where they will sit and watch from this big screen on my left here. We will show you all that later on. But for now, I'm joined by 2 guys who are already here to watch in anticipation the final match between the 2 sides, Lonwabo and Mashudu. Mashudu, by the way, went to school with Bongimbo Nambi, our hooker. I'll start with you, Lonwabo. Lonwabo, what are you expecting this evening? Time is now.
I'm expecting a great day with people in high spirits. I think we're driving up here. There was a big convoy of trucks supporting the Boks. I'm sure these guys understand the support they're getting from the country. But in terms of the game, it's going to be really tough. It's always a tough game versus the All Blacks because those are our rivals, arch enemy. Very technical. I think the weather will play a big part. If it's wet, I think it suits more us. If it's dry, it might be a bit even. But Rassi, I think, has got a few tricks up his sleeves. Yep.
Those who were here in 1995 will tell you that they waited for 28 years for this moment whereby the All Blacks take on the Springboks. We remember what happened in 95 at Ellis Park. But a guy who went to school with Bongimbo Nambi in Pretoria, the capital city, tell us briefly about our hooker.
Yeah, I think he's a well-respected man, and I think he portrays a sense of character, and that's one thing that's one word that I can use to just summarize him. He's a man of character, of good values, and he was a role model to a lot of us, role models to the young boys, as he uplifted us, and he always motivated us to really strive for the best and to be the best we can possibly be.
Do you remember how we came by to be part and parcel of your school, being a player with the Bulls?
Yeah, obviously he's a man of pedigree. So from a young age, he was a well-respected man on the rugby field as well. So that's how he found himself in Pretoria, and obviously being a part of the Bulls as well. And again, I think it was just a way of, he used that platform to motivate and encourage people, again, boys like us who always had a dream and always wanted to play for the Springboks. And he always told us that we can achieve what we put our minds to. So again, credit to him for being that leader for us and being the role model that we've always wanted as young men.
South Africa, you hear from the guys who who were in school with Bongi Mbonambi about his character. We are expecting him to perform very well this evening. He's in that starting 15 for the Springboks against the All Blacks. It's crunch time. We can't wait for 9 p.m. kickoff time. Back to you in studio.
Thanks, Mdu. We can hardly contain ourselves in studio. I can only imagine what's happening on your end. We'll continue to cross to you throughout the day as we get closer to that final. Thando, let me wrap up with you, perhaps in studio here. I mean, I wonder if you were old enough to remember where you were in 1995 and what memories are evoked as you look back. And then as we fast forward to 2023, what history is going to be made? History is going to be made. What does it look like? What are your score predictions?
Score predictions, close one. A good prediction earlier, 21-19.
Okay.
I can go with that.
Okay.
1995 victory. Jeez, that was amazing. I was in primary school.
Okay.
At a very good school in Queenstown called Queen's College Boys Primary. But another thing about today's victory, this team, I remember seeing at the airport before he left, he said, all you guys, you can look at this team. You see a bit of yourself in it. Whether you come from Joburg or the smallest towns, whether you went to the biggest schools or the smaller schools, whether you come from poverty or riches, every bit of that is represented in this team. We always go on about transformation being about a color thing. Transformation is about when you sit as a nation, you look at a team, it has to reflect your society. And for me, every single person in our society can see a bit of themselves in this team.
Well, we're backing them all the way. And of course, the excitement is building up. So thank you for giving us that in-studio analysis. We'll leave it there for now with Thando as well.